Something unprecedented is stirring beneath the surface of the American economy. On paper, everything appears fine. Corporate earnings soar to record highs. Stock indices flirt with all-time peaks, and headlines celebrate the resilience of Wall Street. Yet the millions of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, the reality could not be more different. The disconnect is startling. While the S&P 500 climbs past 5,400 points, household savings have dwindled to a mere 4%, and consumer debt has surged to historic levels. Credit card balances alone now exceed $1.3 trillion, and wages are failing to keep pace with inflation. These numbers do more than tell a story. They signal a fracture in the foundation of everyday life. For decades, the U.S. economy moved with an almost musical rhythm. Rising wages, increasing consumer confidence, and bullish markets reinforced one another in a delicate balance. That rhythm has now been broken. Since around 2021, economic indicators that once moved in harmony are diverging sharply. Market optimism is at a level not seen in decades, yet personal financial security is eroding faster than most analysts anticipated. Nearly 70% of investors are betting that stocks will continue to climb, while more than 60% of households struggle to meet basic expenses like rent, groceries, and healthcare. This divergence is not merely a statistic, it is a reflection of a system stretched to its limits, where wealth accumulates on paper but fails to translate into real-world stability. The numbers reveal a deeper psychological phenomenon. When faith in Wall Street eclipses faith in one's own paycheck, society faces a subtle but profound shift in trust. Every uptick in the stock market becomes a reminder for millions that their labor is no longer aligned with the nation's prosperity. Historically, such divergences have preceded some of the most severe economic corrections. The 1929 crash, the 2000 dot-com collapse, and the 2008 financial crisis. Today, in 2025, the gap between financial optimism and household reality is wider than ever. Income growth, once predictable and steady, has stagnated since the 2008 financial crisis. Real personal incomes, which historically rose by around 2.8% per year, have barely grown by 1.3% annually over the past decade. For the typical American worker earning $58,000, this means an effective loss of nearly $14,000 per year in potential earnings. This is more than just lost income. It is lost opportunity, diminished savings, and eroded trust in the promise of upward mobility. Meanwhile, asset prices continue to soar. The S&P 500's inflation-adjusted return since 2010 has surged over 290%, far outpacing the modest 52% growth in wages. The result is an economy in imbalance, a system where paper wealth expands while real-world living standards stagnate. Productivity gains, labor participation, and confidence no longer move together, leaving households increasingly dependent on debt to maintain consumption. The illusion of wealth, driven by financial markets detached from everyday realities, has created a fragile ecosystem. Record corporate profits, fueled in part by cost compression and globalization, now exist alongside widespread household financial stress.
What is unfolding is not merely a market cycle. It is a structural reset. The current divergence between perception and reality is rare, historically occurring only a handful of times over the last century. The signals are subtle, but growing impossible to ignore. Low savings, record debt, stagnant wages, and soaring asset prices. The system is being pushed to a point where correction is inevitable. When financial markets and the real economy finally converge, it will not be a gentle adjustment. This is a once-in-a-lifetime economic reset, an event that will redefine the balance of wealth, labor, and opportunity across the United States. Section 2. The hidden crisis beneath market euphoria. Beneath the surface of the stock market's record highs lies a quiet but pervasive crisis. While financial headlines celebrate corporate profits exceeding $2.8 trillion and the S&P 500 hitting unprecedented levels, the reality for ordinary Americans is far bleaker. Nearly 2/3 of households report living paycheck to paycheck, and essential expenses are rising faster than wages. This isn't just an unfortunate side effect of inflation. It is the manifestation of a structural imbalance that has been building for decades. Since the 2008 financial crisis, income growth has stagnated. Real disposable income per capita has remained essentially flat at around $48,000, while the cost of basic necessities, housing, healthcare, and energy has increased by more than 30%. In practical terms, this means families are forced to borrow just to maintain their standard of living. Credit card debt and personal loans have become the lifeline of daily consumption, yet they also mask a deeper problem. Households are increasingly disconnected from the economic growth celebrated on Wall Street. The disconnect between financial markets and real-life incomes is no longer subtle. It is extreme. At the heart of this divergence is the disparity between asset growth and labor growth. Since 2010, the S&P 500 has delivered nearly 300% inflation-adjusted gains, while cumulative wage growth lags at just 52%. Wealth is compounding faster than labor can produce it. Corporate profits, once modestly tied to worker productivity, now surge even as wages stagnate. Companies earn more not because workers are creating more value, but because workers are receiving a shrinking share of what they produce. The result is a system that is increasingly fragile, reliant not on sustainable growth, but on speculation, debt, and financial recursion.
This imbalance is not only economic, but psychological. When paychecks fail to keep pace with rising asset prices, confidence erodes. Economic systems do not collapse the moment numbers fail. They collapse when belief in the system falters. Household anxiety rises as the illusion of prosperity dominates headlines, creating a sense of exclusion. The top 10% of Americans now control a disproportionate share of wealth, while the median household struggles to save even a fraction of its income. In 1980, the average American could save nearly 13% of their earnings. Today, that number has fallen to just 4%. For every $100 earned, only $4 is retained for future security. Housing, long the cornerstone of middle-class stability, has transformed from a path to independence into a source of financial strain. Median home prices have more than doubled in the past decade, while median incomes have barely kept pace. The typical family now spends over 40% of disposable income on shelter alone, a level not seen since the inflation spikes of the 1970s. Institutional investors, armed with massive capital, now own a significant share of single-family homes, renting them back to the very families priced out of ownership. The dream of home ownership, the traditional vehicle of wealth accumulation, is being replaced by a cycle of dependency. This growing gap between financial optimism and personal hardship is more than a numerical anomaly. It is a warning sign. History shows that such divergence rarely ends without a profound correction. In 1929, before the Great Depression, wealth concentrated at the top, while wages lagged behind productivity. In 2000 and 2008, similar imbalances preceded market collapses. Today, the scale of divergence between corporate profits, asset prices, and household reality is unmatched in modern history. The problem is not just inequality, it is arithmetic. When income and consumption cannot keep pace with financial asset growth, debt expands to fill the void. Speculation dominates investment, and the system's foundations weaken. The illusion of prosperity masks a deep erosion of financial stability. What appears as growth on spreadsheets is in reality a society increasingly vulnerable to correction. The signals are everywhere: record debt, collapsing savings, widening housing affordability gaps, and stagnant wages. Yet policymakers, media, and market participants often interpret this as temporary noise rather than structural decay. The truth is far more unsettling. The American economy is on the edge of a reset. This is not a cycle that will pass quietly. It is the precursor to a recalibration of wealth, opportunity, and financial reality that affects every household, not just investors.